All right. So what are we talking about today?
You tell me. I just show up.
You had the list, and then you lost the list of everything we were supposed to talk about.
I lost the list because you stole it.
I
Is
did
actually
not.
what happened.
I stole the calendar, not the list.
That's true. Where is the list then? I thought you had both.
Good thing that we just established on air, recorded, that I was right.
One time. The
All it
one
takes.
time that this
All it
happened.
takes is one time.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, I thought we were talking about business
We
planning.
are.
Yes, 2025.
Yeah, so
Let's go.
do you hear that, Courtney?
What is that?
I don't know.
HVAC. That's
I
probably
don't
the
like
that's
it.
probably the heater.
I don't
We're
like
good.
it.
Aren't you an inspector? Go inspect it.
No.
Oh my gosh, the cooler over there,
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what it is.
it's not working.
That's
It's not
probably
plugged in.
what the noise is.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff plugged in at once. It was probably causing issues. So,
It's not your building.
part of our business planning for next year is
Some repairs.
get more outlets. So we stopped daisy chaining things electrically. So, business planning at the end. We're at the end of 2024. We talked before about how nobody in real estate understands that they are in fact a business, and they just kind of wing it, right? I've said before that there's been little seminars where there's been 100 agents in the room, and the question was asked: raise your hand if you don't know how much money you pay in taxes or set aside to your broker or all those things. And literally 80% of the agents raise their hand. Like they have no idea where their money goes or how much they're supposed to get in commission or how much their broker gets or their team gets or how much they spend on marketing or leads or whatever.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was literally 80% of the room raised their hand and they had no idea where their money went, which, once you're in this world and you start interacting with people in this industry, it doesn't take you long to figure out that, yeah, I can see that, right?
Yeah.
So it comes down to what we've talked about before is that, even if you're a solo agent, you're a business. Like you're a business owner. And if you treat it as such, then you do business things. But if you don't, those are the ones that we see just kind of come and go and disappear. Or the ones that we constantly see on the Facebook pages and the groups talking about how, I haven't had a closing in 6 months or I'm struggling to pay my bills. What do I do? And, I see the home inspection side as well. Home inspector pops up. Hey guys, I'm struggling to get business. I've posted on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Right.
What else did you do? Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, it's more than just making a post on Facebook announcing your, that office, the office meme of Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy.
Yes.
I declare bankruptcy. Well, that's not how that works, but I just declared it, so we're good.
So we're good.
I've opened a business, so we're good. I've declared it on Facebook. But at the end of the year, especially in real estate, in theory, it's supposed to be a slower time.
Mm-hmm.
Holidays and whatnot. Although this week of Thanksgiving, we're actually the day before Thanksgiving recording this. I did tell my team that expect a slow week this week and next week, and within hours, that changed pretty quick as we are quite booked for next week. This week is just crazy.
Yeah.
Not being able to accommodate everybody on a short week, but traditionally, because of the holidays and whatnot, colder, all the things, nobody wants to pack up and move, especially if you have kids, schools and kids and decorating for Christmas and doing all the things. They don't want to pack up and move. So it's traditionally slower. With that being said, is typically a good time to do your business planning. Now, you and I, neither one of us have done it yet.
I know.
Because I'll say that out front and say now October is probably really when you want to start, right?
Yeah. That's normally like when they start hounding us for it, and we start doing coaching and things like that at our office. But Yeah, I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
probably not the
So what?
do as I say, not as I do, I guess.
So when by the time this is released, if you haven't done it yet, then you're way behind.
But I
just
also
like
will
us.
say the thing that I have done differently in my business is number one, like I don't business plan with different goals every year. Like I keep my goals the exact same every single year, and anything beyond that is great. And once you get in kind of the habit of knowing what your expenses are and knowing what you're setting aside for each thing and knowing your budgets and knowing your business pretty well, like there isn't a need for me at this point to sit down and do like this huge plan for 2025, because if you keep up with it,
Yeah.
it's, you know, it kind of eventually is a well-oiled machine. Like you kind of know.
Well, your business
things are
plan,
at.
your strategic plan, your business plan, all those things are supposed to be living documents, right?
Yeah.
Proverbial documents, where they should be. They're not just a one-time thing and you forget
Right.
about it. But that's what a lot of people do.
Yes.
Right? So that's why it takes a lot of work for people who are doing it, because it's like, oh, well, let me dust this off and do it again.
Yeah.
But it should always be an evolving thing that you're working on, because even if you set your goals at the end of the year, that doesn't mean you can't re-advise and readjust them halfway through the year.
Oh, I think you
are,
should,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
For a
If not
variety
quarterly.
of reasons. Yeah. So you should always be revisiting to see where you are. But it's interesting that you set the same goals.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
So I think for me, in my career, especially within the first few years, like I'm not gonna lie, I was a psycho when I got into this industry. Like I just worked.
I like the word "was."
I know, but I mean like work wise, personality wise, still same. But like I worked all the time. Like I was so in love with it. It was brand new. I was so serious about it. Not that I'm not so serious about it now, but I kind of realized that if I didn't chill out, that like this industry and a lot of industries will be like, great, you made this much money. Like now you're going to make this much and then you're going to do this. And it's like, I kind of had this come to Jesus with myself of like, I don't need that much money. Like I'm pretty simple and I don't want to put in the amount of hours and stress and lack of sleep and lack of seeing my friends and family to make $700,000 a year. Like, what is the point? Like, that's not, I don't want that for myself. And so I just kind of realized, like, what number do you want to hit? Like, what is your happy point and what do you need to, like, feel fulfilled and have a good, like, work-life balance? And I've just kind of stuck with that. And anything that goes beyond that, I'm just really grateful for. But that's always what I'm aiming for. And I know there's people who operate a lot differently than I do, who would rather keep pushing and going and all of that. And that's great. But for me, it just became, I had to figure out, like, how do I balance this somewhat?
Well, the people that keep pushing, oftentimes it's because they don't know what the end goal is.
Yeah.
Right. Because sometimes you keep pushing because you haven't reached where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. A friend of mine, he does investments, buy and holds and flips and whatnot, among other things. But he told me, he says, someone asked him like, "Hey, what's your goal? How many doors do you want?"
Yep.
And he says 20. And he's like, and the guy asked me like, "Why?"
Yep.
He's like, "I don't know." like he didn't have an answer. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Well, how many doors you need to be happy, to meet your financial needs and accomplish what you want?" And when he actually started thinking about that question, he was like, "Probably 10, 10 to 12. He's like, "So why do you need 20? Mm-hmm. And it was just because that's what other people had said. Yep. You need 20 doors to get this much rent, to get this much money. But that wasn't what he needed. Right. And so I think a lot of people, and especially in real estate, we've talked about before, like the whole hustle culture of the 365. If you're not available at 11 p.m. at night on a Saturday night or a Tuesday night, then, I'm moving on to the next person and all this other stuff. And I think a lot of that can be contributed to just a lack of business planning or a lack of planning in your business in general, for those reasons, right? You set up what you need to be happy, to pay your bills, to go on your monthly vacations, to do the things that your kids need, right? And to be happy. And each, whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly, analyzing to see if you're on track for that.
Yep.
Versus just, I don't really, it's the whole duck swimming in the water, right? I mean, you're just not really getting anywhere, right?
Yeah.
But we're just going to keep grinding, and we're going to keep working 7 days a week because I don't really know what I need to be able to balance my life.
Yes. And that was a mistake. Like, I'll be honest, that was a mistake I made for probably the first 3 years of my career, was just not really, I mean, I don't think this gets touched on a lot, right? Of like, if you want to be in real estate, congratulations, you now are a business owner. Like, whether you want to be or not, you are. There is no way to be a realtor and not own a business.
Even if you're a member of a team.
Right.
Like, because, again, you're still a 1099.
Right. Everything is still you. And if you're not.
Yeah, you're not a W-2 employee. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're still, even on a team, the team just gets a portion of your money for whatever that they're giving you for that. But everything else is still falling on you.
Yep.
Right.
And it took me a while to realize, like, a big one for me was understanding that I had to reinvest back into my own business, not only just planning for all of the taxes and the fees that are associated with what I do, but also realizing like I had to set aside money to reinvest back into the business to help it stay sustainable, basically. And it did take me a minute to learn that. Like, I don't fault realtors for raising their hand and being like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, because nobody teaches you really. And you get thrown into this career where the classes and the education that you get doesn't help you at all with what you're actually going to do. And then all of a sudden you're a business owner. Like, people aren't used to that. And thank God for my mentors pulling me aside early on and being like, baby girl, you're going to pay your taxes and here's how you're going to do it. And really being honest about that, because both of them had screwed up massively when it came to taxes. And so they knew that pain point of like, you have to plan for this.
Yeah, taxes suck.
And I'm so glad that they did, because there's nothing like it. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 8 years, and you're still, every time you're like, like what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, even when you plan for it, you're still like, oh, okay, what? Why? That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So yeah, I think it's one of those things that's just, you don't know what you don't know until you're in it, and until somebody actually sits you down and has a real conversation.
Right. And I think one of the things that is important to, because we talk business planning and stuff like that, but a lot of people probably just don't even know what that truly is. Right.
No.
Like, well, what do I got to do? So I think one of the most important parts of business planning is, one, you have to reevaluate what you've done, and not just this past year, but in the years past, unless you're brand new, right?
Yeah.
But assuming you've been in, for a couple of years, you've got to be able to look back and see what you've done, where you were, what you've accomplished, all those things in the previous year, 2 years, 3 years, or whatever, and take a hard look at that. Because if you're setting goals and your goal is to sell 50 houses next year, but the most you've ever sold is 8, like, that's unrealistic goals.
Yes.
And you're going to get depressed, you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to think it's all stupid, and you're never going to achieve your goals. So you have to, one, where can you realistically be, right?
Yep.
But two, you also got to look at your budget, right? Like, you need to know how much you spend on things. How much did you spend on gas? Because my favorite thing is, well, all that's a write-off. Okay, cool, but that's still money out of your pocket.
Yeah, I never understand that one.
Yeah,
like it still leaves
costs
your
you money.
bank account, baby,
Yeah.
and it's not like they give it back to
you. They don't
It's
give it back
just
to
a
you.
credit. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah, you don't get
Does
that
not
money
make
back.
sense.
Like, as a business owner, you do not get a tax refund from the government.
Yes.
It's either you don't owe anything or you owe a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's not we owe you. That's not how it works. On an individual level, sure, but not as a business owner. So how much did you spend on marketing? How much, and then what did you get for that return? And, this may hurt some feelings, but when I look at events that we do, marketing, sponsorships, all those things, sometimes it's just things just to do, but it's one of the things that we look at is how do we get the most return on our investment, right?
Yes.
So, for example, we're doing a mixology class at Lismore, right?
Right.
We do those classes because we know that they're going to get posted everywhere on social media, right? Because it's fun, it's different, and people enjoy it. So they're going to tag us, they're going to post it. Lots of people are going to see it.
Yep.
So here we are at Thanksgiving, and what's the one of the traditional things that realtors do at Thanksgiving for promotions for their clients?
I hate it. It's the pie events.
It's the pie events.
Hate it.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying don't do it if that's what you want to do. But at the same time, this is one of those things that we just copy and repeat, like copy and paste, repeat every year because it's an easy thing for us to do to our clients, right? So, but realistically, outside of you posting selfies on Facebook, what are you getting out of it? Business wise, right? Versus a team or an agent that's doing Santa photos, right? A really fun event that's going to get posted.
Which I can't wait for my Santa event. My Santa is the most legit Santa.
Yeah?
I love
Yeah?
him. Yes.
I don't know anything about this event, so thanks for sharing.
You'll see.
Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it.
It's not even Thanksgiving yet.
Appreciate
Sidney.
the invite. Did you get your invite, Courtney?
The invites haven't been sent yet. My God.
Don't lie for her, Courtney.
I don't need an invite. I work for Santa, so.
Oh, here we
Santa,
go.
I know him.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So like I said, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that, especially if you're alternating events, right? And some of the agents I know, teams I know that are really in tune with their business, that's what they do. Like every other year, they're doing different events. You know, like, hey, this isn't an event we're never going to do, but it's not something we'll do every year either.
Yep.
Right. But again, you got to figure out what are you doing to get the most. So if you're spending $3,000 on pies and you don't get any mileage out of it,
Right.
then what are we doing? Right.
Yes.
Versus again, like a Santa event where you're getting photos and there's hot chocolate, maybe there's alcohol, maybe there's not. The kids are doing stuff and everybody's posting about it. They're tagging you and you're getting far reaches with that. And then what are you doing to get that? Right. Are you asking people to do that? You know, or are you just saying, hey, here,
Right.
you know, like, hey, we love for you to come. Please make sure you tag us in these. So, you know, so there's different things you can do, but again, it goes back to what are you planning on doing? So if like, yeah, I did these events, yeah, they were fun, and we're just going to do them again because they're easy, then you're just wasting money.
For sure.
So you really got to start, again, I've always said, be different, do different things, right? What's going to get you the most return on investment? What's going to get you the most exposure? You can do those low key events, you know, I mean, but you shouldn't do them every year.
No.
And if you're not getting a return on investment, then you're just wasting money.
Yeah. And my thing is I will not do events that I would not participate in myself.
Yeah.
Like I am not leaving my job at the end of the day to go pick up a Costco pie from you. Like
Right.
I'm not doing that. Right. Like, or some of the ones that I've seen, like it's just, if I wouldn't actually attend it, then I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And if it's not worth it to me as a mom to drag my kids out, like I love my Santa event because I am a mom. I understand, like, I don't want to take them up to Short Pump. Are you kidding? It's a nightmare. Like if I can go to a beautiful office that has a professional photographer, the most legit Santa, there's snacks and stuff for the kids. We get to bring pets. Like, cool, let's go. That's so much easier than there are other options. So I think that's the thing to consider too, is like, what would you do?
Right. And again, I mean, and there's ways to do it. You know, I don't want to dismiss it completely.
Right.
Because there is a team out there that is, one, they got all their pies from Shindigs, which good for them.
Good
that's
for you
expensive.
guys. Talk about a write-off.
Two, yeah.
It's like my mortgage payment.
The agent is dressing up like a turkey and they are hand delivering the pies to their clients.
Oh, see, I did that. I did the pie event one time and I took them to everybody's house and I did love it, but I will tell you it was the most time-consuming thing I've ever done, because it's not just like, hey, here's your pie. It's, oh my gosh, you're here. I want to show you what I did. So then you're going through everybody's house and then like, they're like, do you want something to drink? And then you're visiting for an hour. And like, it took me forever, Sidney. I seriously spent like probably a total of 2 working weeks, like just in and out of people's houses.
Yeah, 100%. But there's one picture of her where the dog is biting a little turkey
That's
flat,
hilarious.
So
Yes,
you're
good
getting
for her.
mileage on that, right? Because people think that's fun, it's cute. They're going to post it. They're going to tag you. So you're going to get a lot of mileage over it, other than, hey, come pick up the pie, the Costco pie or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Because I'm not leaving my house to go.
And this is where, so Justine in my office, she did a spin on this, and I actually think it's genius. So what she did was partnered with a local restaurant, so it's another small business, and she did pizza pies instead. So
Nice.
on your way home, you can come pick up a pizza. So you can eat it there with your family and visit, or you can literally just pick it up and go.
And really that makes a lot of sense, because what are we doing on Thanksgiving week?
Right. Nobody wants to cook. Everybody's I'm trying to just not go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just use what I have. It's the
Because
smartest thing ever.
You're going to spend all day Thursday cooking, eating. You'll be eating the same food for 4 days.
Yep.
So, here's a pizza to either eat beforehand or eat on Saturday when you're tired of Thanksgiving food.
Yep.
Right.
So she just sends
Here's
them
my
on their
hot
way.
take. I don't like Thanksgiving food.
No? Oh, I love
That's a future
Thanksgiving.
interview question for her replacement.
I know. Wait.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
a
love
fan.
Thanksgiving.
Not a fan. I like mac and cheese.
She's like a 6-year-old.
She is.
I think my 7-year-old would say the same thing.
It's the only reason
He's
why
like, give me
I
the
take
rolls
Courtney,
and the mac and cheese. That's it.
I take Courtney out to lunch sometimes because she orders off the kids menu and things like chicken nuggets or cheese quesadillas.
Then I
The
just
cheese
leave you at restaurants.
quesadillas are good, especially if they have
They
a
are.
side of rice. This is something that I learned.
But
for
she doesn't get dessert unless she
school.
eats it all, though.
I don't get dessert. Period.
Because she never eats it all.
Oh, interesting.
Leftovers.
I hate leftovers.
I love
Okay.
leftovers.
Interesting.
But no, I don't like the ham and turkey. I prefer turkey over ham, but I'm not the biggest fan of either of them. A country ham though, I'll eat that up any day.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyways.
This is good. This is good information to have, I suppose.
So
Good.
yeah. So again, like I said, when you're planning for 2025 or 2026, whatever, and you really should be, in theory, planning a few years in advance, right? You should have some of those soft goals you want to be.
Yeah.
But again, when it's not just what you plan on doing in your business. I want to sell, 10 homes, 20 homes. I want to do 100 inspections or whatever. But it's all the things, right?
Yeah.
What events are you going to do? What kind of impact is it going to have? How much money is it going to cost you to do those events?
That's the thing that's wild to me is when people don't have any clue of
They
how
don't.
much something
They don't
is
budget
going to
anything,
cost.
or they don't, because again, man, real estate is the only industry in the world that does this, and that's depending on everybody else to pay for the events, right?
Yes.
Unless you're a nonprofit. So we get those requests. Hey, happened about a month ago. I'm doing an event next week, client appreciation. Can you sponsor it?
Next
No.
week?
It was literally like the following week. I was like, no, I can't. Like, my budget's done for the year.
Right.
Especially fourth quarter. Like, we're done. Like, the money's spent.
Mm-hmm.
But it happens a lot. And don't get me wrong, we don't mind, especially client appreciations, because we don't ever see our clients ever again.
Right.
So client appreciations actually, for us, I don't mind doing them because it is an opportunity to spend 2-3 hours around the agents, but also to see clients, because there are clients too. So it makes sense. Versus, office lunches and stuff like that. That's something we need to have this discussion now.
Yes.
Right? Like, hey, I'm planning on doing client appreciations next year. And there's one real estate team that's really good about it. Every year they say, hey, we plan on 4 events. We would love for your help to sponsor it. We do most of their inspections. This is their events, and this is what we do. And that's already budgeted for the whole year.
Right.
Like, I can take that into account now. Instead of, oh, you need $1,000 next week? Sure. Let me just find that for you. Because believe it or not, a $500 inspection doesn't mean $500 goes into my bank account.
Yeah.
$100 of it may stay.
Right.
After everything's paid for.
And I think that right there is the biggest part of it, is understanding what you actually keep and what you have to play with. So one of the things that I love to do in my personal life and in my business is like the concept of a zero-based budget. Like, I take an entire check and it gets split out for every single thing, right? Brokerage fees, marketing fees, any sort of tech fees, taxes, like business fees, all of that gets broken down. And then everything else gets assigned somewhere to go, whether that's like for my family or a car emergency fund for when my car breaks down yet again. Like, so I think that's the part that people don't realize is like, that's my best advice is you have to really hone in on every single thing and just plan for it, because then it's not really that scary. Like the money is there. Yeah. It's already waiting to be spent.
100%. 100%. So again, it's all part of that planning, right? Because you're going to have events, you're going to want to do things that you're just going to have to pay, right? And I've talked about we do a marketing class, and I've talked about, your marketing strategy is scalable, right? It's a machine, and it should be based on the market at the time, right? Yes. So there are times like during COVID where for us, we didn't have to do anything and the money was there. So it was, I don't want to say a blank check, but we can do a lot of stuff. But in a slower market, you have to be able to figure out how to still get that return on investment while spending less money. I often tell people the whole reason why we started doing this podcast, because it was an initial upfront big investment, but now it costs us $100 a year, right? Because you're free.
For now.
Yes. But when it gets tight, we can still produce content and reach a ton of people. This is why when we get phone calls from certain magazines or certain places that say, "Hey, do you want to sponsor?" For this much money, you can put an article in our magazine.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah,
the golfing areas.
The golfing one's another one. Yeah,
those are big ones.
But like, I can create my own content.
Right.
I can spend $100 in Facebook ads and reach way more people and agents than spending $500 a month to write an article for your magazine.
And for me, like, I would rather spend that money and put it in a way that's like actually impactful and genuine to me. Like, I would rather put that into my referral source and like send somebody an Uber Eats gift card because I know they're going through some crap, or like, just there's so many other ways to do that. And it does go back to like, okay, what's your return on investment? Because the reality is, who the heck is reading those magazines anyway?
Nobody.
One. Like nobody that I know is like picking up a real estate magazine and just having the time of their life with it.
No. And, if it's for realtors, then the realtors that are in it are reading about them.
Right. Which seems weird. Like, I already know you.
Right. So it's just lost money for us, right? Because you're not looking at, and I do it. Like, we get the neighborhood magazines and stuff like that, do I know anybody in there? Nope. So I'm not paying attention to the sponsors and all that stuff. So again, and some of this, for business planning, it's trial and error. Like, you have to take that hard look. Like, we spent $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $500, whatever. Cause it's all relative on what's a lot of money to you. And I got zero out of that. Courtney mentioned the golf thing, and I've gotten a few phone calls this year. And what that is these golf courses, whoever, I think it's Benchmark or whoever, but they do the scorecards, right? And they look for sponsors for each hole. So you get, so like, they have 20,000 golfers, and 20,000 golfers going to see, for $500, you can have this page, pick what hole you want. And I told the guys, like, we get zero return on investment. Yeah. When I said, I've done it once because I was new. I didn't know any better. Right. Yeah. And he's like, well, how do you know? I said, because we track how people find us. Yeah. You do? Yes. Yes. It's a business. Yes. So if you don't understand where your business is coming from, then you're never going to understand how to properly plan on your marketing strategy. Yes. Or your business plan. Right.
That is a huge one.
Yeah. So it's easy for me to say no, because I know that this isn't my target audience. This isn't where I get my referrals from. And I'm going to lose $500 for nothing, right? So I don't think he expected that answer, because it sounds like no one ever really tracks it.
No, they don't. And I think the other thing too that I see a lot of that I think is so bizarre is people find it weird that I incentivize and like love the hell out of my referral sources.
Yeah.
Like if you're mentioning my name to your friends and family, like it's the easiest thing in the world to spoil you. And they're so appreciative. And they're like, well, I just love you. Like, I think you're great. And it's like, no, I appreciate that. But like, this is my livelihood. This is my business and my company. Like you doing that is a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
and I think, again, it goes back to like, I'd rather funnel money into doing that than into trying to get strangers to care about me based off of like some flyer. Like that's not going to work.
No, it's not.
It doesn't get you anywhere.
It's not. And especially in relationship business, right? And there's people who bash relationship marketing because they don't think it's sustainable. But at the end of the day, you know, and don't get me wrong, it is hard. I think, no facts to back this up, but I think in order to feed one home inspector, you need between 60 and 100 agents to feed one home inspector for the year, right? And that's a mix between top producers and brand new agents doing 2 deals a year, right? To keep that schedule full. You don't have the capacity to make relationships and maintain relationships with that many people. You don't.
Sure.
But you have to have relationships with a core group, right? And that's where we've done a really great job at, because there's a core group of people. If you go, you know, you've said it before, Richmond Mastermind Group, right?
Yeah.
When someone's looking for a home inspector, you know, those are the people I've invested a lot of time and effort in the developing relationships, because those are the ones that's constantly referring us.
And that's where I think that they're wrong when they say that relationships don't work, because I agree with you. I think if you have your core group of people who really support you and the ones that get added here and there, like, sure, can you be best friends with 100 people times 6? No.
Right.
But like that, I mean, I think of my career and the ones who have consistently either come back themselves or sent me friends and family or coworkers or whatever, like it absolutely works.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It does work. And I think one of the guys that I know that rails against it, that's what he says. He says, unfortunately, it works.
Right. Like,
he's like, I hate it, but unfortunately, it works.
It
so
does.
It's never going to go away. You know, I mean, I would love to go. I mean, you know, the argument was, do you know who the CEO is of Coca-Cola? Well, Coca-Cola isn't. It's apples and oranges, right? They're a product at the store. You know, so you just go there and I want a Coke today. So it's different. It's apples and oranges, different types of industries, different types of scale, right? But you know, but it does work in this industry, and it's a crucial part of this industry because people are spending a lot of money, and they're unsure and they're nervous, and they're spending more money to make sure that what they're buying is good.
yeah.
So that's where the relationships matter, right? Because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. And I think for my position, especially, like, I wholeheartedly know that people, including myself, would rather work with somebody that they know, like, and trust than hire some random person.
Yeah.
And so I think feeding into that and being, this is something that I think is another part that gets challenging, is being yourself. Like, I think one of the things that I struggled with for a couple years in the middle was, like, you know, you're trying to grow this thing and it's like your business becomes like, I mean, it's literally like another kid. Like it's so time consuming and it becomes such a part of you. It's like your whole personality. It's everything. It's like what you think about all the time, what you were stressed about.
Yep.
It's like you're just, and people kind of keep you in that, right? And I think it took me a while to realize, like, hey, I still get to just be Mandy. Like, yeah, that's my job title. That's what I do to provide for my family. But it's okay to just, like, be a girl in her 30s, like, who has friends and, like, shows her real life online. And, like, that's okay. Like, I don't have to just be this, like, uptight professional. This is all I do, all I talk about. Like, I don't show my kids. I don't make it look like I don't have a life or struggles or whatever. Like, you don't have to do that either.
Right. And there's a big part of marketing where, you know, especially at this level, you know, because again, we're not Coca-Cola, we're not Chick-fil-A, but, you know, show that side of it. You know, and I struggled with that for a long time when it came to the charity stuff, right? Like, I never said anything to anybody, just did it.
Yep.
And finally someone's like, you need to post this.
Yeah.
But why? Like, I don't want to. Like, I'm not that guy.
Right.
And they said, because people need to know.
Yeah.
People need to know what you do,
Mm-hmm.
and they need to realize that when they support you, they're not just supporting a bank account.
For
They're
sure.
supporting these other things that you do. And it makes sense. Like, I hate doing it. Like, it still feels
Yeah.
a certain way about it. But it also brings recognition to the groups that we support as well,
And it's something you care about,
yeah.
which is like something that people should know about you.
So just like anything else, I tell everybody, like we talk about thermal imaging and drones and stuff like that, it's 50% useful tool, it's 50% marketing. And the same thing with this stuff, right? We do it because we care, because it means a lot, but there is a marketing aspect to it, because people want to be associated with businesses that give back, like truly give back. No, don't just say it,
Right.
as despite my better judgment, I'm probably going to be on the board of a nonprofit this coming year. And that's time consuming.
Yes.
It takes time and it's going to take effort, but it's more than just Facebook clicks, right? It's showing that this stuff actually matters, because there's plenty of people out there that'll, put $1 in the Santa pot, and for all the clicks, but that's as far as they go.
Right.
So, but all that also comes into, again, back to the business plan, right?
Yes.
When I talk to another local business owner, talk to Jeff, who owns Pest Now, and we often talk about, because again, real estate is one of the only industries where you ask for everybody else to fund things, right? And now that we're in December,
I feel like I need to be asking for money. I've done this for so long, and I've never.
We've been asked for up to $2,500 to sponsor Christmas parties for agents.
This is crazy. I need to. Sheesh. Do people just give you? They just write you a check?
Not me, no.
Oh, I'm like,
I'm not a
Sidney,
realtor.
what the heck?
No, nobody sponsors my Christmas party.
They don't.
But me and Jeff, we have the same mindset in that, hey, one is end of the year, right? Because again, these conversations are happening now,
Right.
not for this year,
Right.
not now for next year.
Right.
And it's like, no, like I don't have $2,500 in my budget,
Well, because nobody planned, right?
to sponsor your alcohol, right? But two, this is the time of year we really dig into the nonprofit stuff and the giving, because there's a lot of people going without the holidays, and it sucks, right? So that's like, sorry, like, and it's not a line because it's true, but it's like we focus on charities and nonprofit events for the holidays, so we're not focused on.
I don't
Christmas
care about
parties.
your booze package right
Yeah.
now. Like, there's kids that don't get presents.
Right.
That sucks.
So that $2,500 can help a lot of families.
Yes.
Versus that, So, but again, that's got to be part of your business planning, because you have to be intentional about it. You can't just come off that money.
100%. And I think too, even so, like what you said, I think another part that I really, when I'm talking with agents, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask when we're recruiting, is how much money do you want to make per year? And it's interesting to watch these agents or rookies like try to come up with a number that they think we want to hear.
Yeah.
And I'll always tell them, like, look, if that really is your number and you're shooting for the stars, I love to hear it. But what's your actual number? Because you don't have to do that. Like, and I think to your point as well, part of your business planning and setting those goals needs to be, what do you want to do with your time? Like, if you want to be on a board, that's something that needs to be accounted for. Of like, okay, I can't set my goal at this much money because I won't have time, because I also want to do this. Like, I want to take my monthly vacations. Like,
that's right.
So I can't realistically be like, I want to make $700,000 a year, because no, like, I want to see my family. Like, I want to see my
100%.
nieces and nephews.
And I think that's a great point. A lot of people don't factor into time.
They do not.
It's, I want to make this much money, and okay,
And that's it. And they're not planning for anything else.
My kids are in travel ball, or I want to be involved in the PTO. Or your monthly vacations, or whatever the case may be, and it's like, well, that's unrealistic, right? Unless you plan on not sleeping, But your body always wins at the end of the day.
And my thing is, if you like, I will support you. There are agents who come into the office who really like set these high goals. And it's like, okay, great. If that's really what you want to do, wonderful. But then what is your plan to actually accomplish that? Are you going to be hiring help? Are you going to be relying on the resources that are here? Like, it all comes back to this overall plan of like, I'm not saying that that's impossible and you need to be like realistic, sweetie, although maybe, but if you really are going to try to do that with only this much time in the day, what are you going to employ to make that possible for you?
Yeah. When I first started, my goal was 5 inspections a week.
Yeah.
And it was set because I said, I need 5 a week to make what I was making in my previous life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I needed to make.
Yep.
What I was making before. Right. So it was a realistic, it quickly went to 10 and 12 and 13 inspections a week. But I could have came out the gate and said, I need to make $200,000. But why? Right.
Right.
If my previous salary was A, why do I need to make C? Maybe I want to be there one day, but what I need to make and what I want to make can be 2 different things.
And that is why my actual numbers goals don't change.
Yeah.
And I've been really honest with that. And I'm sure there's brokerages around town who are going to hear this and they're going to be like, oh, but like I've been really supported in that in the company that I work for, because I've told them like, look, the littleness in my kids is running out very quickly. Like there's going to come a point where Mandy is ready to step on the gas because my kids, they don't care about me anymore. Like they're done. They don't care.
You want to know the age?
Cool
I can
anymore.
tell you the age.
Could you? Because I feel like it's right around the corner. But like, like that's the point at which these goals will shift, right? Yeah. But right now, like, no, I don't want to trade the last little bit of littleness in these kids for an extra $200,000 a year. I don't care. Like, I don't want that. What am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
I don't need that. And so I do think it is like, set your goals realistically for whatever it is that you actually want, but then pay attention and know how to execute what it is you're trying to do. Because if you're also just making $200,000 more, but you're spending like $150 doing dumb stuff, like, maybe don't do that either.
Yeah, because that $50,000 buffer across 12 months isn't really a lot at the end of the day.
No.
Yeah, especially when it's costing you time and other things, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, when we're talking about business planning, we're talking about, one, you got to set your realistic goals. In real estate, it's your sales goals, right?
Yeah.
For us, it's how many, not even how many inspections we're going to do. That's important. But your sales goals, how many inspections we do is often tied to the financial goal. Like, how much do we need to survive, right?
Yeah, I think there's your numbers goals, but there's also your task goals, what you need to stay consistent in, your reviews, like your events, like there's
so many things that go into this, right? So it's not just that.
Right.
That's a big portion of it, but all those other things lead into you achieving that sales goal. So, and sometimes that sales goal, and again, this is where it comes back to, you have to analyze the last year, 2 years, 3 years, right? What is for you, as an agent, it's going to be, where is my median sales point?
Yeah.
Right. Because if my median sales point is 250,000 and I need to sell 20 houses to be comfortable.
Yep.
Maybe my goal is I need to bump up to 450, right?
Yes.
Maybe I need to get into a higher price point. So I can sell less houses, right? Still make what I need to make, right? And if I still hit my goal of previous years, then I'm gonna make way more, right?
Yes. This is why I can't stand brokerages who only focus on number of transactions. Because I'm like, that happened to me when I was brand new, but I was in new construction. And custom new construction. And so I'm like, okay, you can't tell me that like this person who's selling this many houses at 200,000 versus me in the 650 to 950 range, that you have to look at sales volume.
Yeah.
For sure.
100%. And for us, it looks at, we did this many home inspections, like I said in the beginning, I expected a slower week or two, and that nobody was really going to complain because of how busy we've been. Now, Todd, texted us earlier, see if there was anybody to do his afternoon inspection because he's tired. I said, no, everybody's busy. Sorry. Well, maybe we can do less inspections this year because we bump up our prices. you know, because that's the other thing you got to look at. You know, same thing, you go to a higher price point, we got to increase our prices to hit our revenue goals. And not just because we want to bump up our prices, but, you know, inflation, everything, cost of living, all that goes into it as well. You know, and growth and all that stuff, because that's the other part of business planning. You know, where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? So you have to adjust your price points to be able to meet those goals, right? Depending on what your net versus gross and all that stuff is. So your marketing strategy, you need to get that laid out. That should be part of your business planning for the year, 2 years, 3 years. Because again, you've got to look back at the events and the things you've done and what worked and what didn't work. If you door knocked 15 neighborhoods this year and you got 0 leads, and you say, well, I guess I'll door knock 20 neighborhoods this year. You know, some people are really good at door knocking and it really works for them. Some people, they are not, right? So it's okay. Like I tell, you know, when we talk about marketing strategies, I say all the time that there's a million things you can do. I've never cold called. I never will. I hate cold calling.
Us cold
Right?
We would be a disaster.
But I've never, you know, but I appreciate that for those that do, and it does work. So it doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means it's not part of my strategy. So I have to find something else that can fill that, right?
Yes.
You know, it's one of those lots of effort can be a low reward kind of thing, but you know, but it also doesn't cost you nothing but time, right, to do. So what can I do to fill that?
But I also think I stand by this, and it's something that like I will preach about is time is money. Like, so there, like I'm at a point now in my career, and I think that this is a huge mistake that agents make, is they're not qualifying their people at all. And so for me, like if you're not so serious and ready to go and have all your ducks in a row and you're not listening to the advice that I'm giving you, I'm not working with you. Like I'm not taking you on as a client.
A ton of agents. I've heard it to where they've had this client and it's a low price point client. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
But they're very indecisive. They won't commit to any house.
I don't understand that.
They've shown, I mean, by the time, like in gas alone, you're upside down.
Right.
You've lost money just in gas alone, showing the client the house. But I'm gonna see it through.
100%.
But you're literally losing money at this point.
Yes.
Like there's no way you're going to make any money, but they don't see it from the business side.
They do not. And they also don't, what I see a ton of is this lack of confidence to tell someone that what they're looking for is unrealistic, that is not going to happen with the current market conditions that exist right now. People don't want to tell people what they don't want to hear, but then it's costing your business time and money.
But they look at it as, well, I got to buy gas anyways.
Not to burn through it in 3 days, showing 16 houses to somebody who probably doesn't even have a pre-qual letter. Like, no.
So, you know, it's just that, I don't know, there's a disconnect for sure between the commission check and all the money that you spent up until that point. But yeah, you're 100% right. Like you've got to be able to say no.
You have to. And if you can't figure that out, like one of the fastest way to hurt your feelings as a realtor is to break down what you're paid per hour.
Yes.
Because
100%.
I think people look at these commission checks and they're like, oh my gosh. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Let's back up. Okay. Let's reduce the fees that I own or owe, the taxes, all of this, take all of that out. And then let's divide it out by the time that I've spent doing this. And let's be real about the fact that, like, ouch.
I think if more agents broke down and understood the hourly pay,
they would cry. You know how I know?
They would stop because you cried. They would stop. There would be less phone calls at 9 p.m.
Oh, 100%. This was the turning point for me when I realized, like, oh,
yeah,
I am working insane hours for, I don't want to say no reason, but like, I don't have to answer you at 9:30 p.m. about what kind of countertops are in your kitchen. Like
when the Chick-fil-A drive-through person is making more per hour.
Literally. Like there are some where I'm like, oh, wow. Right. And then there are some that are quick transactions, but it's also because I learned to qualify my people. Like, if you're not ready, that's okay. I'm here for you when you're ready, but I'm not going to put myself in a position where I'm running myself ragged for not enough money to support my family or to make it worth being away from them.
Because if you use a lawyer for an analogy, if you've ever used a lawyer, you know they bill for everything.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I love when people talk about our commission structure, because I'm like, I'm begging you, please let me go to an hourly rate. I am begging you. If I factored in the time it takes for my commute, plus my gas, plus the time it takes to actually do oh my gosh, I would be so wealthy if we did a paid per hour. Are you
if
kidding?
you ever got one where the attorney did everything, you get the bill for the stamp, the envelope,
literally,
the paper, how long it took them to mail it, the phone calls, how long the phone call lasted.
Yes.
Everything down to the second.
Yes.
And they bill for all of it. So, like I said, I think if realtors broke their time down per transaction, they would stop with this whole, you have to hustle and grind 24/7. And if you're not answering the phone call at 3 a.m., I'm moving on to the next person. Mm-hmm. Like that would stop.
Oh, 100%. It's what I went through. And it's something that I strongly encourage realtors to do is to break it down and to realize like, ooh, I need boundaries and I need a plan for what makes sense and what doesn't, because it's a harsh come to Jesus when you're like, oh, okay.
And that's why everybody else associated with real estate, you know, the inspectors, the pest controls, the title companies, they've all realized this. That's why they're like, find somebody else. Right. You know, unless you're brand new, most of us like, okay. I mean, I didn't answer your phone call at 10 p.m. because I was sleeping, and I'm not going to. And I'm not going to answer your phone call at 6:30 in the morning. I'll answer it when we start business hours. Yep. Because one home inspection, I'm not getting paid hourly enough to do this. Right. So realtors are the last one to figure it out.
Yep. Yeah. But it was my favorite thing. As hard as that little exercise was to realize like, oh no, it also was the turning point for my career of being able to say no and to stand in that. Yeah. Because I knew what it costs, and it's not only money, but it's time, and it's the ability to take on clients who are ready or be with my family or friends or vacation or whatever.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, as we wrap it up, you know, is that if you haven't started your business planning, by the time you listen to this, you're way behind, just like we are.
Yeah. Join the club, guys.
But it's important. Like you have to sit down and do this. And it's not just setting your goals. It's setting your financial goals. It's setting your personal goals. It's setting your marketing strategy, planning your events. It's budgeting. Like budgeting is probably one of the biggest things you have to do. Yes. Because if you don't understand how much money you're going to be spending in your business to generate more business, or understanding what you've done in the past that's worked and not worked, then you're going to lose money. And you're never going to, you're going to be upside down at the end of the year. And you're going to be like, why is my bank account negative? Right. Mm-hmm. And I've seen it happen to agents that's been 2 years in, and agents that have been 25 years in that's still struggling because they don't understand where their money's going. So you have to have a grasp on the money, where it's going, how you plan to make it, where you get the most return on your investment. But like I said, I've seen people do the vision boards. I've seen people do booklets, spreadsheets. You know, we go quarterly. I set quarterly goals. Yep. You can do monthly, weekly, whatever. You know, what are we going to do? How many CE classes are we going to do this year? How many sponsorships are we going to do this year? You know, how many charity events are we going to do this year? We may not get to all of our ideas. Right. You know, because of the market busyness. You know, I've learned that summertime, we don't do a ton of office visits and stuff like that. You know why? Because ain't nobody in the office, you know, in real estate offices, you know, because they're always, you know, especially around June, July. Once school lets out to about the second week of August, there's not we've tried that, you know, CE classes, nobody shows up, right? Because everybody's on vacations and doing all the things. So it's understanding and tracking what you've done in years past, analyzing it, seeing what worked, what didn't work. So you're just not wasting your time and money.
For sure.
And it is a lot of trial and error, and some of these lessons are expensive. Yep. But it's important to do, though, because otherwise you're going to keep spending that money. Like if I never tracked how we got business, I'd still be doing golf course cards, right? And I'd be about $5,000 in the hole by now doing golf course cards without a single lead off of it. Mm-hmm. So business planning, if you don't know how to do it, hire somebody.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there.
Or talk to your friends who are also in the business who like are good at it. Like it's okay to turn to your resources and folks that love and care about you and say like, hey, you're good at this and I'm not. Like, do you have some pointers? Yeah. Because I think most business owners that I know have lived it and so they understand it and they're more than happy. I mean, literally every small business owner that I know is so happy to give advice and to try to help out another small business owner because we get it. Like we've all lived it.
Yeah. And it's so fun. I don't know if real estate realtors are the same. I know some of them probably are, but like home inspections, I've gotten asked by a lot of home inspectors and because I've even had them like, hey, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to.
Yep.
And then they ask me a question about business. Like, I don't care.
I get a lot of that. Yeah.
Like, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I tell you.
Right.
I want you to succeed because if there's good inspectors in the area, it raises the industry. Yep. It raises what we can charge. It raises the standard. It makes everything better.
100%.
Right? So me keeping all the secrets to myself doesn't do me any good.
No.
Because it used to be fun in the beginning. We're like, oh yeah, all these bad companies make us look good. But after a while, you're like, man, you're really just draining the industry.
You make us all look bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I have no problem sharing what we do, how we do it. One, you still have to do it.
Yep, that's my thing too. I'll tell you whatever you need to know because I know that the reality is probably 10% of the information that I give you, you're maybe going to do.
And this is why we've done a ton of ride-alongs for prospective new home inspectors. And I don't hold back on any of the area. I mean, we talk about business, we talk about marketing, we talk about Gordon will go into all the things that goes into making this successful when he has a ride-along. Mm-hmm. And I think there's like 2 of them that's licensed that's actually doing the thing. Out of all the ones we've done, because I don't want to do all this.
Yeah.
I don't, from the inspection side to the business side, I don't want to do all this. That's a lot. Yeah.
It is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So understanding all that, like I said, first and foremost, understanding that, like we've said before, you're a business.
Yeah. Whether you want to be or not, you are now.
You're there. So, but business planning, get on it. If you don't know how to do it, ask somebody, hire somebody. There's tons of building business planning workshops that go around this time of year.
There's even YouTube, like there's so much stuff online, like literally ask the resources that you have. And then there's so much of it online. Yeah. Like you probably don't even need to hire somebody. No. You just need to start.
Just start. Yeah. So any final words?
I don't think so. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Thank you.
You got anything you want to say over there? Talk about,
I know she hates Thanksgiving.
Oh, is there like a Grinch for Thanksgiving? Because that would be
that would be you.
It would be. I don't like the food.
That's okay.
I could go without it.
Why can you not? Cheese. What? Then why don't you fix food that you like?
There's got to be something.
I ain't cooking.
Oh.
Jordan told me the other day that she doesn't like turkey, so she wants barbecue. And I'm like, okay. So we picked up
we always do a ham because none of us are.
So we're going to smoke some barbecue.
Yeah. I've not.
It ain't gotta be turkey.
Well, so for my Friendsgiving, that's gonna be on the 7th of December. I am hardcore thinking about making pizza bites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
But this is cares. Like for the family. They already know what they're doing. Yeah. That's like a set thing.
Mm-hmm. I feel sad for people who don't like Thanksgiving because of the food.
I know, because you can do whatever you want. I just
just do whatever you want.
Want to hang out and eat a bunch.
I mean, if Sidney was going to Kentucky, she's not. But if she was going to Kentucky to visit her family, it was going to be like me and a dog and a steak.
Yeah. You know what I learned though? Apparently Costco, you can buy a whole Thanksgiving meal that's already done.
Yeah.
What? I'm upset.
Also do that at Cracker Barrel and a lot of other local Mission Barbecue. They do it. What? Yeah.
I should have done that. I know.
Get out of your bed every now and then.
Now I want some barbecue.
Why would I do that?
Huh?
So now I want some barbecue. Yeah.
My goodness.
See, that sounds good. If Thanksgiving had barbecue,
we're doing barbecue.
There's no rules.
Like a little cookout. Thanksgiving, but cookout food. I
mean, we're smoking a turkey, but we're putting we're going to do some pulled pork too, because that's what Jordan wants.
Let's
good.
Jordan wants.
Sounds good.
She gets what she wants, I guess.
She's in the 20th percentile of weight.
Oh.
So proud of her. So if it gets her to eat protein so she can grow, then,
we'll do it.
Let's
go.
We'll do it. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you
She's
go.
55 percentile of height and like 20th of weight.
She's just a peanut.
She really is. But we got to increase the speed of that fastball. So,
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love it.
Oh,
Well, happy holidays.
happy holidays.